and welcome to another 100 to Launch update. Today I wanted to talk about the product development process behind the scenes of Geckohook, because in every physical product based campaign on Kickstarter require you to have a working prototype. And I think that makes perfect sense, to be honest, because you can't expect people to trust that you're going to deliver on something if you don't know how it's going to be made, and you need to be able to prove that. So Geckohook is going to be no different from any of our other campaigns or any other product-based campaign on Kickstarter. We're going to have a prototype that looks and works exactly like the final prototype, or the final product will. So I wanted to share with you today a delivery that I took earlier this week of some new prototype parts, which I'm really excited to get testing. But first, I thought I'd talk you through a little bit about why I had them made and what's going to be happening next. So, if you don't know already, Geckohook is made of 3 components: a rigid backboard which sticks to the wall, and then 2 different components: the fins, which are these components, and a disc, which is a rubber flexible component. And they all attach onto a backboard, which is 16 of these, all as one piece, and they hold all of the rubber components together in a matrix, and then you push products in between the rubber components, and they really securely hold all of your everyday belongings so you can see them and grab them whenever you need them. So it's a little hard to describe without a full prototype here, but if you just check out the website, geckohook.com, at the link below, you can see a full rendered version of Geckohook with some products being stored in it, and you see exactly what I mean. So these are 1/16 of a full-size Geckohook backboard. The reason I had 1/16 made is because I only need to test this piece, so I only need one at the moment. So it's a lot cheaper to have a small 3D print like this made of one of these sections rather than paying for a full-size backboard before I even know if I've got everything right or not. So this is a cost-saving thing, really. And they actually sent me 2, which is awesome. And one of the flexible components, the fin, which I showed you earlier, looks like this from the end. That slots in to the backboard like so. So the important thing is making sure that it's easy to slot in, and once it's slotted in, you can't pull it out, so it's nice and secure like that. That's really important. And getting that fit right before going to mass production is really important, because making those changes when you've had, 100,000 of these made and then thousands and thousands of these and then they don't fit together, that is a very expensive mistake. So you need to get all of that stuff right beforehand. So this component is made using a process called extrusion, which is like a giant tube of toothpaste, if you like. So you have a machine which acts like the toothpaste tube and squeezes a silicon compound through the end. But instead of a circular hole like you have in a tube of toothpaste, you have a special profile, say like this shape, cut out of a steel plate, which is at the end. And it's all of the silicon compound is being squeezed against this plate and forced through this shaped hole and out the other side. So it makes a continuous extrusion of this shape. And once it's out the other side, it passes through an oven, essentially, which bakes it. And it turns it from a Play-Doh consistency into a flexible, stretchy silicon rubber. And then it goes through a cutting machine, so instead of having miles and miles of this, which would be no use, you have a machine that cuts it into neat sections which are all the same length. So what I needed to do was test this shape. I needed to get this shape right. So this is an early version which I had made several months ago. It's just in a plain white plastic, or a plain white silicon rubber, so it's not the right colour and it's not quite the right shape either. But I just took delivery of 600 of the new design. So the new design looks very similar. It's a big flat piece made out of the same material, the same process, but it looks more like a T from the end than an L. And that just helps with the assembly process. It makes it easier for people to put Geckohook together when they get it. And it also makes it more secure when holding objects. So it makes it easier for Geckohook to grip onto things and hold them securely in place. So there's several benefits. And I had this coloured, so you should be able to see. This one's just plain generic white, This one is much closer to the final light grey colour that we'll be using in mass production, because it's much easier to have the compound coloured before it's baked than it is to try and paint flexible rubber material after it's been manufactured. That's very difficult. So having them delivered in the right colour is key. And now I'm going to be testing to see what width these slots have to be and what shape this top bit has to be in the backboard for these to slot in nice and easily, of the new design to slot in nice and easily, and to be held securely in place. See, I made this a little bit too small, these slots a little bit too narrow for this to fit in properly. And that's because it's easier for me to get a craft knife and shave a little bit of this material off and make these gaps wider than it is for me to somehow add extra material to make these gaps narrower. So I've made them smaller. And I'm going to be experimenting over the next few days what dimensions these need to be to get these to fit in place like that and be held securely. Once I've got that right, I can get a full-size version of this Geckohook backboard made. So instead of 1, you'll have 4 by 4, so 16 in total. It'll be about this big. And I'll get it made in the same colour as this. So we'll then have about 3/4 finished prototype, and it's just a case of getting the discs then made in the same flexible material and the same colour, and then we will have the final Geckohook prototype ready for the Kickstarter campaign.